Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a landlord named Chief Okonkwo. Chief Okonkwo was known far and wide as the wickedest, most feared landlord anyone could have. His heart was as hard as stone, and he had never showed kindness to anyone, not even a little bit. His tenants lived in his buildings like prisoners in a dark, cold dungeon, always at the mercy of his bad temper. Chief Okonkwo owned half of the village, and he made sure everyone knew it. If the tenants paid rent late, they would face a month's worth of harsh labor. If they complained about a leaking roof, they would be sent to pick firewood from the jungle at midnight. If anyone dared ask for a little help, they would find their rent doubled for the next month. The village folk called him Ogbuagba, which meant big death in their language, not because he killed anyone, but because dealing with him felt like death itself. Among the tenants was a young man named Emeka. Emeka had recently moved to the village, seeking work and a place to live. He had heard of Chief Okonkwo's wicked ways but decided to take a chance. He rented a small room in one of Chief Okonkwo's buildings, hoping to find peace. Little did he know this decision would change his life forever. Emeka was a kind and hardworking man, always paying his rent on time, and he never complained about anything. He swept the yard, fixed the leaky roof on his own, and even helped other talents with small tasks. But no matter how good he was, Chief Okonkwo treated him just like all the others with disdain. One day, Emeka was returning home from work and he saw Chief Okonkwo standing in front of his building, looking as mean as ever. Emeka, the landlord shouted, his voice booming like thunder. You have not paid your rent this month. Where is my money? Emeka was shocked. But, Chief Okonkwo, I paid my rent last week. Don't lie to me. Okonkwo growled, shaking his finger in Emeka's face. You are trying to cheat me. I will add an extra 100 naira to your rent for your insolence. Emeka, ever calm, didn't argue. He reached into his pocket, took out the money, and handed it over to the landlord. Thank you, said Okonkwo, but his smile was more of a sneer. But remember, if you don't pay on time again, you will feel my wrath. Emeka nodded and walked away. But as he left, he couldn't help but think to himself, one day this wicked man will meet his match. And that day came sooner than Emeka thought. It all began one painful evening when Chief Okonkwo hosted a big party at his house. His daughter Chiamaka had come of age and was ready to be married. Okonkwo invited all the people in the village, but one name was missing from his guest list: Emeka. Emeka had never spoken to Okonkwo's daughter, but one thing was for sure. He was curious about her. From what he had heard, Chiamaka was a beautiful and intelligent woman, admired by everyone in the village. However, her father had always kept her under tight control, as if she was a treasure he was afraid to lose. Okonkwo wanted to marry her off to the richest man in the village, someone who could increase his wealth. On the day of the party, Emeka was busy working on the construction site when a loud noise echoed through the village. He looked up and saw a procession of dancers and drummers making their way towards Chief Okonkwo's house. Curiosity got the best of him, and he decided to follow the crowd. When Emeka arrived at the gates of Okonkwo's mansion, the guards tried to stop him, but he was too quick. He slipped inside with the dancers unnoticed. The place was decorated like a king's palace, colorful clothes hanging from every corner, piles of food everywhere, and music that made you want to dance. In the middle of it all stood Chiamaka, laughing with a group of women. She looked even more beautiful in person than Emeka had imagined. As he gazed at her from the back of the crowd, he couldn't help but feel a strange pull. And it wasn't just because of her beauty. No, it was something deeper. He saw how she was surrounded by men, each of them offering her gifts and sweet words, but she seemed bored. She looked at them with indifference, as if none of them were worthy of her attention. But then their eyes met. For a moment, everything around Emeka seemed to fade away. Chiamaka smiled at him in that instant. He felt a connection he couldn't explain. She beckoned him with a slight gesture of her hand, and Emeka, without thinking, moved towards her. Emeka, is it? She asked when he finally reached her, her voice soft and sweet. Yes, Chief Okonkwo's daughter, Emeka said, bowing slightly. I've heard of you, Chiamaka said. You are the one who never complains. You must be a very patient man. Emeka smiled nervously, unsure where the conversation was going. She giggled, but it was more like a quiet, knowing laugh. You know, she continued, I don't like this life. All these men fighting to win my favor, speaking words I don't want to hear. And my father, he thinks that wealth will make me happy, but it doesn't. Emeka was taken aback. He hadn't expected this kind of honesty from the daughter of the wicked landlord. Then what will make you happy? Emeka asked before he could stop himself. Chiamaka's eyes sparkled. I don't know, Emeka, but I think you might. And so it began. Emeka and Chiamaka started to spend more time together, sneaking away from the eyes of her father and his guests. At first, it was just innocent talks and laughter, but soon their feelings for each other grew. Emeka could hardly believe it. How had he, a humble tenant, won the affection of the daughter of the feared Chief Okonkwo? But Chiamaka's father was no fool. He quickly realized that his daughter was not as interested in the men he had lined up for her as she was in the quiet, hard-working tenant, Emeka. This didn't sit well with Okonkwo, not one bit. One day, Chief Okonkwo called Emeka to his mansion for a private chat. Emeka, with his usual calm, arrived at the door. The guards gave him a cold stare as he entered. Emeka, Okonkwo boomed as he stood by his grand table. I know what's going on. Emeka felt his heart race. He tried to stay composed. I don't know what you mean, Chief Okonkwo. Oh, don't lie to me, Okonkwo shouted. I see you sneaking around with her, trying to steal her heart. You think I will let a lowly tenant marry my daughter? Emeka swallowed hard but stood tall. I don't know what your plans for her are, Chief Okonkwo, but if she loves me, then that's all that matters. The room grew silent. Okonkwo's eyes narrowed, and for a moment it looked like he would explode. But instead, he did something unexpected. Emeka, Okonkwo said, wiping tears from his eyes. You are brave. I will give you that. But you must know this. I will not make it easy for you. If you want to marry my daughter, you will have to prove you are worthy. You will have to pass three challenges that will test your strength. Emeka stood frozen, unsure whether to be afraid or amused. What challenges was the old man talking about? Whatever it was, Emeka knew one thing for sure. His life was about to get even more complicated. And so, Emeka's journey to marry Chiamaka began. But little did he know it would not be easy. Chief Okonkwo had many tricks up his sleeve, and Emeka was about to face challenges that would test not only his strength but his entire character.